Okay, chamai, tamachpachi, hui, Derek Shaya, apdahat nga izuimuk. Hui mani sun namisu masanga, kasin kichahui mawatini ang lila. Alutiiq Museum i pukdachta, kasin huay mi school tasanga. Koyana sinak spachi, day luji, chali nukso amount. Yeah, hello everybody. My name's Derek Shaya. My Suchtstu name is Izuiq, which means seal. I was born here in Kodiak, but grew up in the Anchorage area. But my family is from around Kodiak Island. My grandma's June Pardue or June Simiana from Old Harbor. And my grandpa was Mitch Shaya, who was also from Old Harbor. But if you go further back, I've got family from Yuzinki and Akiak and Woody Island as well. So really from all over. And thank you all so much for inviting me here to lead in this lamp lighting ceremony. Our lamp in our language is called nanik. And that's a word that's used in other parts of Alaska as well for the oil lamps. And long ago, oil lamps, again, across Alaska, not just here in Kodiak, but all over, oil lamps were really important to our people for survival. They provided us with heat and light, especially during the long and dark winters. Lamps were essential for providing that light and warmth. And people would gather around oil lamps to do arts and crafts and perpetuate Alutiiq Sukhbiaq culture by making stuff and just having conversations and dancing and all of that was done around oil lamps. And so today we light lamps not for the light and warmth necessarily, but to honor that tradition of lamp, these lamps reflecting that idea of, again, perpetuating our culture. And it's very symbolic in that, it, a flame being lit and igniting and stuff is a show of like strength and resilience for us. And so when we do our lamp lightings, we often ask an elder and a young person to light them together to represent the passing of traditions and knowledge from one generation to the next. So we have Sam and Liz here to help us light this lamp here. So yeah, you can go ahead and do that. Yeah, kita. Sometimes it takes a second. There we go. Koyana, all right, we'll let it burn for a little bit, but unfortunately, we'll have to take it back with me to the museum. But yeah, definitely take a couple pictures from where you're at and stuff. And I'll be back this afternoon to do an orientation on who the Alutiiq Sukhbiaq people are. So I'm looking forward to that. Koyana.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to kick off our conference now after that. So this is our 8th Alaska Food Festival and Conference. And this is the very first time we've ever taken it off the road system. So yeah, that deserves applause. And we were able to do this with really strong on the ground partners here in Kodiak. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge the Kodiak Archipelago Leadership Institute. Woo woo! And the Kodiak Area Native Association. Kodiak Harvest Co-op. And then our national partners, the Intertribal Ag Council. And then one of our biggest funders and supporters, the Hawaii Good Food Alliance and the Regional Food Business Center. Okay. So we have literally been planning this for well over a year, meeting monthly, sometimes more, to plan this out. So if you were on the planning committee, could you raise your hand? And a lot of them are probably downstairs, but let's give all these folks a big hand. And then finally, there are two key people that we absolutely could not have pulled this off without, and that's Sundance Visser and Megan back in the back. So please give them a big high five or two high fives if you see them. So I also want to thank our sponsors, quite a few, but our biggest sponsors, the State of Alaska Department of Health, who we'll hear from at lunchtime. We have Safeway, Northwest Transition to Organic Partnership Program, Mazone, a Jewish Response to Hunger, the Alaska Commercial Company, also known as AC Stores, the Alaska Division of Agriculture and Nana Management Services, and then all these folks. So everyone contributed in some way, financially or with donations. So maybe one more applause for those guys. Okay. And we wanted to do a quick interactive activity. You don't have to get up unless you want to, but we wanted to see where everyone came from. This is just such a neat event. I know Kodiak has been a bucket list for a lot of folks, so this was an excellent reason to come. So if you are from Kodiak, raise your hand. Woo-hoo! Okay, if you are from Southwest and the Aleutians, anyone from there? We may have a few online, so Megan, raise your hand if you see anyone raise their hand online. How about the interior? Woo! Okay, Southeast. All right. Hey, South Central. Wow, representing, I guess, a easy flight from Anchorage. So, uh, Western, oh, not yesterday's. Sorry, y'all. We're on the 5 a.m. this morning. Western Alaska. Oh, there we go. North and Northwest Alaska. Ooh, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, great. And then, if you are international, okay, we got 2, 3. And then finally, if you are from outside. Oh, well, welcome, guys. So we have 2 jam-packed days. That's kind of our MO. We try to squeeze in as much as possible. So I wanted to remind everyone that these are 3 of our rooms, and then we also have a large room over at the Best Western, which is across the street, just a few minutes walk. So we added that in to give everyone some fresh air, to be able to check out the harbor. So please don't neglect the harbor room. We know it's not connected to this building, but there's some really awesome sessions over there. Let's see. Yeah, finally, just again, it's jam-packed, so be sure to drink your water, take your breaks when you need to, and know that all of our sessions are being recorded, uh, as long as technology cooperates, but you'll be able to see sessions that you missed probably about a month after the conference. We'll have them posted online. So now I would like to introduce probably one of the key inspirational people that helped to bring this to Kodiak. Robbie Townsend Venel is the executive director of the Kodiak Archipelago Leadership Institute, and she's going to welcome us.
Wow, that was quite a welcome. Thank you. Um, and yes, I have 3 typewritten pages, but as my friend Tom Panamero says, our eyes are old and the print is very big. So this should only take a few minutes. But Kuyana, thank you, Robbie, for that introduction. Let me get my glasses changed here. And I just want to say, Shamai, welcome to this beautiful and unique place called Kodiak, that, as you saw, many of us here today call home. Alaska weather combined with active volcanoes and earthquakes can often wreak havoc with the best laid plans to bring folks together from across the state and internationally. It is always a risk to plan any in-person event in a coastal waterbound environment such as Kodiak. For this first ever road system AFPC Food Festival and Conference to be a success, it was critical that we had strong integration with and support from our Kodiak regional community. And that starts with the conference planning committee, as Robbie's already pointed out. I would like to take a few minutes to specifically acknowledge those here in Kodiak who took the time to work as part of the planning committee to support logistics and plan events and presentations that would bring in our region's unique sense of place, flavors, and experiences. And specifically, first, the Alutiiq Museum. Sharon Anderson and Derek Shaya provided direction and guidance in integrating our region's indigenous culture in an appropriate way, including this morning's lamp lighting ceremony and an Alutiiq cultural orientation this morning. Kuyana Chinook, many, many thanks for your willingness to share. The Kodiak Harvest Food Co-op, Myra Schultz and Tyler Cornelis, for their work in bringing the Nourishing the Kenai film as one of Thursday evening's pre-conference events, putting together Saturday's Kodiak Homemade Food Fair. That's something to look forward to. The Saturday's panel on island agriculture, growing food on Kodiak Island, that highlights our region's efforts to grow food locally, and their presentation tomorrow morning on establishing the co-op, excuse me. So lots of good information there. The Kodiak Area Native Association, Aaron Boats and Stephanie Mason and Rosen Skobberg for overall conference assistance, and particularly for their help in bringing the conference to this beautiful meeting space. Isn't this nice? And a special shout out to Stephanie for her efforts in helping to integrate food waste at the mitigate food waste at the conference, including a blog that highlighted those efforts. The Kodiak-based Alaska Seafood Grants, Melissa Good and Aaron Jones, I don't know if Missy's here yet, for their support of the pre-conference kelp life cycle and production event and providing their insights in a number of panels and presentations. Retired Alaska Sea Grant researcher and educator and former AFPC board member Brian Himmelblum for his thoughtful insights on not giving up on bringing the conference to Kodiak. So Brian, it's here, and thank you for all your work. And last but not least, the Kodiak Archipelago Leadership Institute and its Alutiiq Grown Farming Collective, Max Lyons, Lexa Meyer, Dorinda Kewen, and the Alutiiq Grown Farmers, and Amy Peterson. We worked together with Canada to bring this morning's clam garden panel to the conference, as clam gardens are an area of growing interest in our state's coastal communities. Kali and Alutiiq Grown Farmers will be participating in a number of panels to share their perspectives, and Lexa Meyer will provide an overview of mariculture research in the archipelago on Saturday. And don't forget to come by and sample Alutiiq grown dried kelp as part of the Kodiak Homemade Food Fair. And it's free, so no reason not to try it. So thanks again for everyone here who worked together to make this a memorable conference worth traveling to Kodiak for. And for all of you who are here from off island, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us if you have questions about Kodiak or our experiences in increasing food sovereignty and security in our region. And I'd like to point out that we've all branded ourselves, so the Alutiiq Grown farming teams are all wearing our stickers, so you know who we are. When Robbie Mixon asked me to make these opening remarks and to use them as an introduction to the work of Alutiiq Grown, I found myself thinking about what are the major takeaways that we can share and how do they support the conference focus on community table, collaboration for a sustainable food future. The Alutiiq Grown Journey started about 10 years ago at a regional planning session regarding the loss of food sovereignty and food security in our region's small Alutiiq coastal communities. Since then, we've worked together to establish 4 soil and hydroponic, tribal, and community-based farms, saw the establishment of a large hydroponic farm at one of the region's Kodiak tribes, and now we are taking the Alutiiq Grown model to the Chugach region, Alutiiq region, to assist in establishing hydroponic production in their villages. So Alutiiq Grown is now going to be Alutiiq region-wide. Alutiiq Grown has seen individuals who began as interns grow into farm managers and educators, and we continue to expand the vision through seed saving, working in the mariculture space to establish kelp and oyster farms and other initiatives, all in 10 short years. This substantive progress is made possible through the foundation of the Alutiiq Grown Regional Team Platform that brings all of the farming teams together at least once and sometimes twice a month to share successes and challenges, provide for virtual training, plan content and presenters for our in-person trainings, work with our partners such as USDA, and get resources out to the farms through technical site visits and technical support. In summary, collaboration is at the heart of Alutiiq Grown, and in many ways reflects the Alutiiq values of sharing and learning together. We face many, many challenges here in Alaska, not unlike other off-road system regions in Alaska. Many challenges here in Kodiak, not unlike other off-road regions in Alaska. High cost of transportation and imported food, fisheries with its complex layers of state and federal oversight that have been managed so that local communities have lost their access to the very resource that sustained them for thousands of years. These are just examples, but growing food is something that we can exercise sovereignty over to build food security in our region. The Seed to Stomach Alutiiq Grown Vision collaborates with partners to establish regionally adaptive seed to decrease our dependency on outside sources, build soil through locally sourced materials, provide training and education to build garden and farming capacities, work with partners to equitably distribute Alutiiq Grown food to elders and those in need through vehicles such as the Kiktuk Food Hub, and push and push and push to expand production so that we can feed more people. It's all about feeding our people. And across Alaska, it seems that we are demonstrating that by working together, we can really do this. So we have before us 2 really glorious days of learning together, sharing food, and just visiting and having fun. Let's take full advantage of this time we have together and take back what we have learned to our communities to build an even larger community table. Kuyana, thank you.
Thank you, Robbie, with an E. You're going to have to be specific this week. So we have a few more guests to introduce. Next, we have the Alaska Division of Agriculture Director, Brian Scoresby. He was appointed in February 2023 to the role. He was raised on a small dairy farm in Idaho and earned his bachelor's in agriculture education and also a master's in agribusiness management from Brigham Young University. He has extensive experience in agriculture administration, previously serving as the state executive director for the USDA Farm Service Agency, where he oversaw farm loan approvals and program implementation. So thanks for being here with us.
Thank you very much. I wrote in our January newsletter what it would take for Alaska to be more food secure. 1 million laying hens, 15 million broilers, 135,000 fat cattle, 5,700 acres of potatoes, 200 acres of carrots, 100 acres of cabbage. And that's only for those products. The acreage needed to grow the grain to feed those livestock and the hay, 300,000 acres of barley, 335,000 acres of hay. I didn't try to calculate how many market hogs it would take to make the bacon that Alaskans consume, but there would be a large number of additional grain acres. I'm not trying to pretend that Alaska could be self-sufficient, 100% in growing our own food to feed all our own people. But consider if we as Alaskans grew and just simply doubled our current production, just simply doubled it. That alone would be a huge accomplishment. Alaska needs more. We need more farmers to grow more food, and we need more markets to sell it in. The farmers currently engaged in the business have a plate that is simply full. Some will likely figure out a way to grow a little more. There are great success stories in our farmers and our producers who have entered the food producing industry and found their calling. The Alaska Grown label has its advantages in marketing here in Alaska. According to the Alaska Beacon, Alaska Grown label makes lettuce worth $3.31 more per head than other lettuce. Alaskans are willing to support Alaskan agriculture by buying Alaska Grown product. Using milk as an example from Alaska Range Dairy in Delta Junction. A gallon of milk at Three Bears in Palmer, where I shop, is about $4.29 a gallon. That's their store brand. Alaska Range Dairy is $8.49 a gallon. Okay, little difference. And if Scott Plagerman, who's the owner of Alaska Range Dairy, if he wants to add another group of sales like Fred Meyer or Cars, that's a huge ask for one dairy. Fred Meyer has 11 stores. Cars has 23 stores in the state. When Walmart started adding Alaska Range Dairy, they did it one store at a time. They started in Fairbanks. And now every Walmart store throughout their chain in Alaska has Alaska Range Dairy milk. Change of subject. We know what the outcome of the joint session in Alaska legislature was last week. The joint session legislature voted 32 to 28 to turn down the governor's EO 136 forming a Department of Agriculture. Many are disappointed. Some are happy with the outcome. All is not lost. Consider the conversation that has been around forming a Department of Agriculture. 33 years ago, when I came to Alaska, there was no conversation. The goal of the Farm Bureau for over 10 years and beyond has been to form a Department of Agriculture. An attempt was made. Since last week, Senate Bill 128 and House Bill 140 was submitted by the Senate Rules Committee. A hearing in the House Resources was on Wednesday. Senate Resources Committee has a hearing today. Hope is not lost. At the division, we have two people joining our team next Tuesday. One is to fill a vacancy in our inspection team, and the other is to fill a vacancy in our grants team. We're excited to have them on. And at our Plant Materials Center in Palmer, we have two more vacancies. One is in a revegetation position, agronomist, and the other microbiologist for the seed potato program. Interviews are being conducted right now for those two positions. And the staff that's doing the interviews are really excited about the choices we have. People love to work in agriculture. People love to work for the Division of Agriculture. And working at the Plant Materials Center in the shadow of Pioneer Peak is a phenomenal place to work. The view is outstanding. Sometimes it would rival the views that we have here on Kodiak. One of my favorite speeches that many of you have probably heard about comes from Teddy Roosevelt, a speech that he gave in France in 1910. It's called The Man in the Arena. It is not the critic who counts. It's not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, and who at best in the end knows the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. Your part in agriculture is one in the arena. Everyone who participates in agriculture is someone who helps grow agriculture. Whether you are the farmer, the government agency rep, the scientist, the policy promoter, you're involved in growing agriculture. The governor in his State of the State address talked about building agriculture. He is a promoter of agriculture. Alaska-grown products are available year-round in Alaska. We held an Alaska-grown reception at the governor's mansion in February. We had 100% Alaska-grown meal. The beef that we served came from an Alaskan farm. The potatoes, the carrots came from an Alaskan farm. The onions that seasoned the beef was from an Alaskan farm. The lettuce came from Juneau Greens, right there in Juneau, an in-house hydroponic outfit. If I lived in Juneau, I would buy their products. The oysters that we served as an appetizer was from an Alaskan farm. The brownies that we served was Alaska Gold brownies. They're to die for, by the way. And the chocolate milk that we served it with is great too. But when you think of Alaska grown, think of our $5 challenge. Spend $5 out of your grocery budget every week on Alaska grown products. And you can do that year round. When you're buying potatoes, look for Alaska grown potatoes. Get a bag of those potatoes versus Idaho potatoes. And I'm from Idaho. I love Idaho potatoes. But buy Alaska grown potatoes. Buy a bag of carrots. A box of salad mixings. A bag of flour. $5 a week. That's all we ask. If you can, and you can do that year round. We did it for a governor's meal in February, and it was a delicious meal. By us, all of us buying Alaska grown products, it increases demand. Farmers have a reason to expand. Opportunity comes for new farmers wanting to enter the industry because the demand is there. It's a simple supply demand curve from Economics 101. And if you want our newsletter and you're not receiving it, please reach out to us. We'd love to put you on our distribution list. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, and thank you, Brian. My name's Rachel Lord. I have the honor to work with Robbie and the team at Alaska Food Policy Council, and with many of you. I'm the Advocacy and Policy Director. So some of the types of things that Brian just mentioned, as well as many more, covering pretty much anything that you're interested in, whether it be Department of Agriculture, subsistence access, across the board of all of our opportunities to look at policy and budget investments from the state and our federal agencies. Let me know, because it's my favorite thing to do is to help connect you all with the decision makers and make sure that our voices are heard every place that they matter for our food systems. With that, we reached out to our congressional delegation, as well as to Senator Stevens in the state legislature, to offer them an opportunity to share some welcoming remarks and give us an idea of where their priorities and focuses are on food systems for Alaska for this conference. So we're going to start off with Senator Lisa Murkowski. Lisa Murkowski, Alaska's senior U.S. Senator, is a third-generation Alaskan, proudly serving as the first Alaskan-born senator. Senator Murkowski was born in Ketchikan and raised in towns across the state, including Wrangell, Juneau, Fairbanks, and Anchorage. She was elected to the U.S. Senate in 2002, and she is an incredible advocate for food security in Alaska. Senator Murkowski serves on the Appropriations Committee, Energy and Natural Resources, Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, and is the chairman of the Committee on Indian Affairs. And I think we have Senator Murkowski here now. I mean, recorded.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 Alaska Food Festival and Conference. So this conference has always had a full plate of presentations, everything from rural food supply chains to improving school meals, from innovations in food from the sea to reindeer herding and meat processing, as well as exporting Alaska's products. You're all going to go home with a head and a heart bursting with positive ideas and energy. Your theme this year, Community Table Collaboration for a Sustainable Food Future, is really right on point. As Alaskans, we know that to survive and thrive in our state, we have to work together. Particularly this year, collaboration and communication is even more important as the administration seeks to reevaluate programs that Alaskans have come to rely on for agriculture production and food security. Know that if you encounter funds that are paused or frozen, significant changes in how grant programs are being administered, or regulations that just won't work in your community, if you can't get answers from a federal agency, know that you can contact my office. We'll certainly try our best to be your advocate. For many years, individuals, communities, nonprofits, schools, tribes, and producers have been collaborating with each other and with me to find ways to produce, process, and store more affordable, nutritious food right here in Alaska. And these partnerships have created numerous successful, innovative opportunities. We've established the Microgrants for Food Security program, which has really made a huge difference across our state. I've also heard loud and clear that Alaska needs more food processing and storage capacity. So I have a provision in my Improving Arctic Act to address these needs and as well as many others. But I want to thank the Alaska Food Policy Council, the Alaska Division of Agriculture, and others for their suggestions on how I can make my Improving Arctic Ag Act even better. So I'm working on incorporating those suggestions into the bill. We hope to reintroduce this new and improved version pretty soon. My goal is to get as many of the provisions of that bill into the Farm Bill as I possibly can. Now, I know many of you are next going to ask, well, what about the status of the Farm Bill? There's a lot of anxiety about whether or not Congress will be able to craft a Farm Bill yet this year. And I'm not a member of the Senate Agriculture Committee, but I've had conversations and have been talking with Chairman Bozeman and Ranking Member Klobuchar. We're going to be looking to find common ground on issues of food and producer security. I think there is a recognition that we must do more to better support America's farmers because far too many Americans are still going to bed hungry. Whatever the committee may do, you can be sure that I'm going to be working with you to ensure that it works for all of Alaska. So thanks for all that you do. Thank you for your great work and have a terrific conference. Take care.
And thanks again to Senator Murkowski. We next are going to hear from Senator Sullivan. Dan Sullivan was elected in 2014 to the U.S. Senate. Senator Sullivan serves on committees critical to Alaska: Armed Services, Commerce, Veterans Affairs, and Environment and Public Works. Senator Sullivan has a distinguished record of military and national security service. He is currently an infantry officer and colonel in the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve and is the only member of the U.S. Senate still serving in the military.
Hello, everybody in Kodiak, and greetings from Washington, D.C., and thanks for inviting me to say a few words. I want to do a shout out to Robbie Mixon. She's doing a great job as the director of the Alaska Food Policy Council. I've really enjoyed coming to this farm festival in person. Can't be in Kodiak with you guys right now. By the way, I love Kodiak. What a great place to have your festival and the policy discussion. So first, let me just thank you again. The festival is a great opportunity to highlight some of our state's greatest resources, of course, our incredible fish, produce, livestock, mariculture farms, and you guys celebrate all of it. So thanks for the great job you do. You know, we have some of the highest rates of new and beginning farmers in the country. That's a great statistic. I think we got to keep that going. And of course, we love our farmers of the sea. You are right there where they are in Kodiak. I like to brag about Alaska. I frequently refer to us in our Commerce Committee hearings as the superpower of seafood. What do I mean by that? Almost over 2/3 of all seafood harvested in America, commercial, sport, subsistence, comes from where? Our great state, the waters around our great state. That is unbelievable. And you guys play a critical role in highlighting that. You know, and I know you guys know this, only 5% of Alaska's food is grown in state. Now, I don't think that counts for the farmers of the sea, but that 5% is absolutely critical to all of us. So let me give you a little update of some of the things we're working on. We're working on mariculture. We're working on the Farm Bill. Every 5 years, the Congress does a Farm Bill, and I am really, really trying to make this Farm Bill about fish, about seafood, about fishermen. Now, it's a little bit of an uphill struggle because most farm bills aren't about fisheries and seafood. But what I've been trying to do is say, hey, wait a minute. We have all kinds of really important programs for farmers from the USDA with regard to loan guarantees, with regard to crop prices and crop insurance, with regard to foreign markets when they're closed, farmers get some kind of aid there. This essentially de-risks the operations of being a farmer. And let's face it, it's tough to be a farmer, but it's also tough to be a farmer of the sea, a fisherman in Alaska. So what I'm trying to do with my bill, it's called the National Seafood Supply Act, and it looks at starting an office of seafood in the Department of Agriculture to say, wait a minute, if the farmers of America, who we all love, get these kind of programs to de-risk their operations, shouldn't the farmers of the sea? So we're working this hard. It's a little bit of a concept that some farmers and cattlemen and ranchers aren't fully on board yet, but we need a home for these kind of programs for our fishermen. So some of you might remember a couple years ago, we brought Senator Bozeman, John Bozeman of Arkansas, up to Alaska. We brought him to Kodiak, where you are, to see our fishermen, and we brought him to the Matsu Valley, the State Fair, to see our farmers. Why was that important? Because now John Bozeman is chairman of the Senate Agriculture Committee. He's writing the Farm Bill. So all these ideas, we've been planting the seed in Senator Bozeman and his staff's minds for quite some time. So stay tuned on these big ideas for the Farm Bill. We're also, of course, trying to get some programs that highlight smaller farmers in the Farm Bill like we have in Alaska. There's been a big battle on this, and we have some good allies, including Senator Bozeman, who was, like I said, in Alaska 2 summers ago, having a great time in Kodiak and in the Valley. Another thing we're doing with regard to seafood is, and hopefully you've heard this, we have finally stopped for now, and we got to keep it going this way, the very unfair seafood trade situation we had with regard to Russia and China, 2 countries that do not conduct healthy, sustainable seafood practices, but are giant seafood producers. And for the last 10 years, the Russians could import their seafood into the U.S. market duty-free, almost, and we couldn't export 1 Alaskan fish to Russia. 10 years. You want to talk about an unlevel playing field, that's about as unlevel as it gets, non-reciprocal trade. So I've been working hard the last couple of years to stop that, to block the importation of any and all Russian seafood, even the Russian seafood that goes through China to get headed and gutted and filleted, and then they try to avoid the blockade by going through China. My view is we shouldn't be eating communist Russian and Chinese fish. We should be eating the great freedom fish from Alaska. Now everybody in America is doing that. We have got this blockade on Russian seafood, so nobody can import it. What are our importers doing around the country? They're importing more Alaskan seafood. That's great. That's going to help our fishermen. It's going to help our coastal communities. So we're working hard on that. Finally, I just want to mention, if you have ideas, particularly as I host an annual Senate luncheon. One of the things we do in the U.S. Senate is each senator gets to host a lunch. Now, I love doing it. Senator Murkowski loves doing it. Truth be told, when I'm hosting, when Senator Murkowski's hosting, the other senators mark their calendar. Why? because let's face it, we bring the best food, we have the best lunch. Senator Collins of Maine, she does a good job too because she brings great Maine lobsters, but we bring some of Alaska's greatest farm fresh products: potatoes, carrots, rhubarb crisp, zucchini, sauerkraut, all surrounded by one of my favorite products in Alaska, which, to be honest, 10 years ago I didn't even know about: Alaska peonies. They are beautiful, they are huge. I bring an entire set of peonies for all the tables. And of course, we bring incredible Alaska seafood for this lunch. So if you have any products you want to advertise and we can brag about at my upcoming Senate lunch this summer, we'd love to hear about it. We'd love to bring them and we'd love to promote them. So again, thanks to everybody. Have a great festival. Thanks for all the great hard work you do, and have a great time in Kodiak.
Okay, excellent. And thank you to Senator Sullivan. We now are going to hear from Representative Begich. And let's see, Congressman Nick Begich was elected to Alaska's sole congressional seat in 2024. Born in Anchorage, Congressman Begich graduated from Baylor University with a degree in business administration and entrepreneurship, and from Indiana University with a master's of business administration. He calls Kodiak home and lists his interests as fishing, hunting, travel, basketball, new business creation, and investing. He currently serves on the House Committee on Natural Resources, Transportation and Infrastructure, and Science, Space, and Technology.
Hi, this is Congressman Nick Begich. Welcome to the 2025 Alaska Food Festival and Conference. You know, this is the first time the conference has been held off of the road system. Kodiak couldn't be a better place for this conference. You know, let me just say from Washington, D.C. to you, let's make Alaska healthy again. Let's make America healthy again. We have a real opportunity to invest in food security for Alaska. And this is a great opportunity to talk about how we can get that done. As your representative in the House, I want to make sure that we're advancing those priorities that will allow Alaska to be more food secure and food diverse. We know we have a number of food deserts throughout our state. 82% of our state's cities and villages are actually off the road system. Makes it very difficult for people to have high quality meals where they live. We want to fix that. We want to address that. We're counting on you to come up with some great ideas that we can support down here in DC and in Juneau to ensure that Alaskans have a healthy food supply and a reliable food supply. Please reach out to me or my office if you've got ideas. We want to be innovative, we want to be creative, and we want to make sure that Alaskans are healthy, and stay healthy for generations to come. Thank you. Have a great conference. I look forward to seeing you soon.
All right. All right, we have one more. So that was our entire congressional delegation. So from those of you who might be from outside, we have a very small one. We are finally going to hear from Alaska State Senator Gary Stevens. Gary Stevens is a member of the Alaska State Senate, representing District C since 2003. He served as an Army intelligence officer from 1967 to 1970. Following his military service, Senator Stevens completed a PhD at the University of Alaska, where he taught from 1975 to 2000. Senator Stevens' political career includes serving as the mayor of the city of Kodiak and the Kodiak Island Borough, as well as president of the Kodiak School Board. He was a member of the Alaska House of Representatives from 2001 to 2003 before his appointment to the state Senate in February 2003. Senator Stevens has held leadership positions such as Senate Majority Leader from 2005 to 2008 and Senate President from 2009 to 2012. In 2023, he was reelected as Senate President and continues to lead a bipartisan majority coalition in Juneau.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you to the Alaska Food Festival and Conference here in beautiful Kodiak. As both the Senate President and a proud Kodiakan, I'm delighted to welcome you to the 2025 Alaska Food Festival Conference. I'd like to start by thanking the Alaska Food Policy Council and all of those dedicated planners who put this together, organized this event. Your commitment to strengthening our state's food security by encouraging collaboration, by sharing knowledge, and by building resilience reflects the very best of Alaskan values. There's no better place than Kodiak to have this discussion. As one of the nation's leading seafood producing regions, our island and its residents understand firsthand the significance of a robust, sustainable food economy. Whether it's our wild-caught salmon, halibut, crab, or cod, the bounty of our waters not only feeds Alaskans, but also nourishes communities across the country and around the globe. But as we all know, Alaska's seafood industry is at a crossroads. Markets are shifting, costs are rising, and our fishermen, many of whom are generational stewards of this resource, are facing unprecedented challenges. That's why the Joint Legislative Seafood Industry Task Force, which I was proud to chair, has worked so diligently over the past year to assess these challenges and develop solutions that the legislature is even today currently reviewing. Our task force convened state leaders, industry experts, and community stakeholders to discuss ways to bolster our seafood sector, whether that's through investments in infrastructure or expanding value-added processing or strengthening workforce development or opening new markets. Throughout our work, one thing has been very, very clear. Alaska's seafood industry is an integral part of our state's economic and cultural identity, and we must do everything we can to sustain that for future generations. That's why the conversations we have today are so important. Food security, economic resilience, and local innovation are all closely interconnected. Whether you're a fisherman, a farmer, a chef, an advocate, or a policymaker, your work plays a crucial role in shaping Alaska's food future. I encourage everyone to use this time to connect with each other, to share ideas, and to build partnerships that will help advance solutions. Alaska's food systems, whether it's on land or on sea, rely on our capacity to adapt, to collaborate, and to take action. Thank you all for being here and for your dedication to strengthening Alaska's food industry. Welcome to Kodiak, and I hope you enjoy the discussions ahead. I know they will be productive.
Fantastic. Well, thank you to Senator Stevens for his remarks as well. Okay, we are now going to be in a short break and then to breakout rooms. So this is room A. And then, sorry, I'm looking at room like, okay. And then B is here. And then don't forget across at the harbor room is at the Best Western. So there's another track over there. So you get to get outside and get a little fresh air to go over to those sessions. And in the back corner is a silent auction, which is one of my favorite parts of conferences. So don't forget to check out the silent auction and enjoy your first breakout session.